Hello, I'm Veronica.
And I'm Studio Steve.
And on today's video, we're going to show you how to record a podcast episode and a YouTube video at the same time. More and more podcasters are looking into getting into YouTube, but recording podcast episodes and video at the same time can be a little tricky.
And we're actually putting ourselves through the test right now. We're your guinea pigs, and we're trying to record this YouTube video and a podcast episode at the same time. So if you want to hear the audio version of this video, check the description below, and we'll leave the link to our podcast.
And if you're new to podcasting, we have a free masterclass for beginners. Snag your seat by going to the link in the description below.
And before we get to it, don't forget to hit subscribe here on this channel. We post really cool podcasting videos every week.
Okay, let's get to it.
Okay.
Number 1, setup. So you're already a podcaster, so the audio part of your video is already taken care of. But what about the additional equipment you're gonna need for your videos? Like camera, lighting, background, the video editing software.
Yeah.
Could you take us through the process of doing that?
Yeah, let's talk about those 4 things. First, we'll talk about the camera. So you can use whatever camera you have on hand, especially if you're on a budget. You can use the camera on your laptop, you can use the camera on your phone, and then you can grow from there and get some really nice video cameras or some DSLR cameras. Some of the really popular ones on YouTube are the Canon N50, or Sony has a whole line of affordable and really great looking cameras. Now let's talk about lighting. Lighting is so important. It can really make you look a lot better, a lot younger. Some of our favorite lights that we experiment with are ring lights. And then also diffused light, or light that's kind of soft, is really nice. Some people can just put a sheet or a pillowcase over a light that you can get at Home Depot and get pretty good lighting. Or you could also purchase soft boxes or those umbrellas that you've seen, any assortment of photography lighting. So now let's talk about our background.
So when we're recording video, we really need to pay attention to your background, which that doesn't happen when you're recording your podcast episode. No more podcasting in a mess. You really need to pay attention what's behind you. So something that you may want to do is to get creative with your background. You can add some wall decor, or you can put a desk behind you with something that is related to your brand and related to your podcast. Mainly what you want to pay attention to is what is inside the frame. You don't want to have clutter. You don't want to have things that may hinder in the experience of your viewer.
But you can have clutter outside the frame. No more 18 cans of soda or beer or whatever it is.
Or kombucha.
You got to keep it clean.
Keep it clean, keep it nice, keep it on brand.
Yeah, and so now that we've got a nice background going on, you don't have to spend a lot of money. You can just move the camera around to the most flattering position of your room. Now, the last thing with setup is video editing software. And there are free solutions for this. You have DaVinci Resolve, which is free, but it could be a little difficult to learn, but you can just get in there and learn that one. Or Adobe Creative Cloud has Adobe Premiere, and you can get either one of those for a very affordable monthly subscription. But you are going to need to get a video editing software solution so that you can have control over editing your videos. And finally, before we move on from setup, let's just talk about our setup that we're using here. So first, we have 2 condenser microphones that we chose to use because we're on camera, and also because we're in a room that is padded and is relatively quiet. Those microphones are going into preamps, which are then going into an audio interface, which are then being recorded on a computer. And that's the audio side. And then we've been running back and forth 5 feet away, where we have our Canon M50 and a Canon prime lens, a 28mm prime lens that's pointed at us. Then each one of us have a ring light pointed at our faces, and then we also have a softbox light in the middle of us to bring a lot of lighting on us. And then our background, we have 2 LED photography style lights that are blasting a lot of daylight color temperature on the background behind us. And just to show you the difference that lighting really makes, let's just look at our faces here, and we can turn off the 2 ring lights that are facing our faces. So here's with the ring lights, and here's without the ring lights.
Number 2, record separate intros and outros for your podcast episode and your videos. So something that you want to do is to record separate intros and outros for your podcast episode and your video. Your podcast intro, it's a little bit different from your video intro. On your podcast intro, you can elaborate more and you can make it a little longer. However, your video intro has to be shorter. People on YouTube are there to find specific answers and they want the answer quick. This is why your intros should be super short and sweet and to the point. So now let's talk about the elements of a very effective YouTube intro. Number 1, you want to start your video with a teaser. It can be a sentence or two hinting to what the video is going to be about. After the teaser, you want to tell your audience what your YouTube channel is about. You want to establish your credentials. Maybe you want to talk a little bit about the podcast, and also you want to include your call to actions. Your call to actions are very important. This is where you're going to ask your audience to subscribe to your channel, to like your video, to go and find your podcast. If you don't add these call to actions, you're not going to experience growth on YouTube. For this demonstration, we pre-recorded our podcast intro before we jumped into the video. And also on camera, we recorded our YouTube intro.
Yeah, and this is a really good technique. It's a time-saving method. And one thing you could do here, let's say that your full 45-minute podcast episode is going to be too long for a YouTube video. Well, if you separate it into points or subtopics, each one of those subtopics of your podcast episode can actually be 5 different YouTube videos. So then what we would have done today is record 5 separate YouTube intros and outros, and then just 1 separate podcast intro.
That's a very good idea.
Number 3, recording the meat. So the meat, this is going to be the same piece of recording for both your YouTube video and your podcast episode. Though you might edit them differently and might chop one up a lot shorter than the other one, this is the same meat that we're going to use. So it's a really good idea, good practice to rehearse beforehand or to have an outline so that you can keep the meat as concise as you want it for your YouTube video and for your podcast episode.
Also, if you are used to using a script for your podcast, you can use the same script and put it on a teleprompter, and that way you can perform to the camera while you record your podcast episodes. Now let's talk about performance. You are recording your podcast and you're recording video at the same time. So this is going to be a little tricky. You want to address the camera as much as you can. You want to be animated and you want to be engaging.
Yeah, and there's other things that go into your performance as well too, which is just basically feeling confident. There's lots of warm-up exercises. I do all sorts of strange things. I do push-ups, I do jumping jacks, I do breathing exercises. You just have to be patient with yourself because at first, when you're first getting in front of the camera, it can be really awkward. I know that I've had a ton of nervous breakdowns about it, but the more you do it, the more you practice it, the more it's just going to be second nature to speak into your podcast microphone the way you would, but also address the camera in a nice animated way.
And it's all about feeling confident in front of the camera. So do anything you can think of that will make you feel confident. You can wear clothing that it makes you feel great. You can do all the things to your personal appearance that is going to boost that confidence. Something that I like to do is I have a playlist of songs that I play before recording my videos. I play Beyonce. So anything you can think of that is going to boost your confidence. Another trick that I learned is called the empty chair. And here you can print a picture of your ideal listener or ideal viewer and put it by your camera so you don't forget that you are speaking to a person, that people will be watching your video. This is very important.
Yeah, I love that. It's a really cool trick. And really, like I said, it's just a process. It's a learning experience. Don't be hard on yourself and don't let the discomfort keep you from doing it. If you just push through it, you're going to see really cool results with your podcast.
You're a rock star. Number 4, how to record video depending on your podcast format. And when we're talking about podcast format, we are referring to the way that you record your podcast. You can first record your podcast remotely. You can record your podcast with a co-host in the same location, or you can be a solo podcaster.
And depending on which format you're recording in will change the way that the whole process works. If you're recording your podcast remotely, like remote interviews with different guests every time or remotely with a co-host, you could use a solution like Riverside, which actually allows you to record really high quality video locally on each one of your machines so that you can get really good video files for your remote recordings.
And if this is your first time hearing about Riverside, don't worry, we have this video right here that will teach you how to use Riverside. But if you're recording with your co-host in the same location, or if you're a solo podcaster, you're going to be using a similar setup.
Yeah, a setup where you're going to have some lighting. Sometimes it's cool to have a backlight, a key light, which is your main light, and then even a fill light, which is just a nice ambient light that fills the room. Those 3 lights will really get you going with a nice looking picture inside the frame of your camera. And that does it for this video, Podski. And if you want to learn more about podcasting on YouTube, we're actually putting together a free masterclass that you can find by going to podsoundschool.com/podcast on YouTube. I'll also leave the link for that in the description where you're watching this video.
Remember to also find the links to all the equipment we mentioned in this video in the description below.
And until next time, 2 things.
No olviden hacer la tarea and don't forget to subscribe to our channel and like this video.
Happy casting,
amigos!